Well, hello there, DoomTuber. Doomwaves, here for another video. A month later. A month after posting my last video. I feel like this is the longest I've gone without making a video. I don't know if it truly is, but it certainly feels that way. And let me just preface this whole thing by saying I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to. Just, yeah, I haven't had much cause for a video, I guess. Playing a lot of games, which is good. We've recorded the podcast, it seems like a couple of times, since I did a video on my channel. Not a whole lot of pickups. I mean, if you watched the Doomtacular, Christmas Doomtacular, you'll know that there was not much need for pickups at all. A couple things, nothing major. I plan on doing a pickup video maybe, I don't know, next week, something like that. I'm expecting a couple of things in the mail, but that's about it, really. But this video will just kind of serve as a placeholder, I guess, for any other content. I have beaten some games, but nothing that I felt really compelled to do like a individual game discussion. So I just wanted to kind of do a video, kind of talk about the stuff that I'm playing, talk about some goals for the channel, some goals for myself as far as collecting and playing games goes for the year. I mean, I know it's already halfway through February. Today is the 15th of February. So, you know, whatever. I mean, this is how it goes, I guess, in the wintertime, is that you just typically play a lot of stuff that you don't have a lot of time for when the weather's nice, which I guess is evidenced maybe by the games that I'm playing. So first off, want to say once again, I do apologize for the lack of content on this channel, but I do suggest that if you're not already subscribed to the podcast channel here on YouTube or on iTunes, go check that out, because like I said, we have put out a couple episodes lately. We just recorded last week, and it's already up on the channel. I did talk about the games that I'm going to be talking about in this video, but maybe to a lesser degree than I will be discussing them here. I don't know. Maybe I'll say the exact same things. I do not know for sure. Seems like every time I try to talk about the games I'm playing on the podcast, I feel like I'm rushing, which is fine. I mean, it's not meant to be like a huge discussion on the podcast. Just kind of, you know, what I'm playing, what my brief thoughts are on it. So yeah, one of the big things that I'm into, of course, is fighting games, and I've been playing them pretty solid now for about a year. I've always played them, my entire life in video games. I've played fighting games off and on, but I never really considered myself like a big fan until about a year ago. I mean, like I said, I'd always played them off and on, but never really tried to actually get into it and actually learn something about the game, because fighting games at large are a different kind of a video game, I guess, than others. I mean, because it really demands a lot of attention. It demands a lot of practice. It demands a lot of patience, I guess you could say. Whereas a lot of other video games, especially in the competitive scene, a lot of other video games, even competitive games, once you get to a point where you're playing the game, you've kind of maxed out what you can do with it, first-person shooters and things like that. Whereas RPGs, it's just pretty much, there's no real way to be good at them per se. It's just a matter of sticking with them and learning the different mechanics of the different games, just in perseverance throughout the game. Whereas fighting games require that you do the same things kind of over and over in short bursts. And so in a lot of ways, it can get really old, especially if you don't see any progress. A lot of people get discouraged really easily if they don't see like instant progress. Playing the game for 10 minutes and they're not getting any better. It's like, well, it's a little bit more than that. I don't know. I feel like I've bit off more than I could chew with this discussion right now, but suffice to say that fighting games, you either like them or you don't like them. I mean, there's a lot of people that kind of casually like them, but for the most part, don't really play them all that much. For me, it's just been a genre that has just really taken over my attention. Not just in playing them, and I almost get just as much enjoyment out of watching people play them too. I spend a lot of time on Twitch and on YouTube watching matches of wide variety of different games. And TG Apalace and I have kind of been discussing this off and on. It's one of the only video games, genres that really it does kind of benefit you in a lot of ways to watch other people play, watch matches. Whereas like first-person shooters and things like that, mainly talking about competitive games here, you don't really get much out of watching somebody play from their perspective. You don't really get much out of it. The maps are the way they are, and you shoot, reload, kill, whatever. I mean, it's kind of its own thing. You as a player only get better by doing it. Whereas fighting games, there's a lot maybe that you can learn by watching people react to things and learning characters and learning matchups and learning your opponent. Like if you are playing, on a competitive level where you actually know the people that you're going to be playing, there's something to be said for, learning how they play also, to, I don't know, make yourself better in a lot of ways. It's to me the closest genre of video games that really lends itself to the e-sport title. I mean, you really do have to practice an awful lot and kind of, be able to read things, read and react to your opponent. So, I don't know. Like I said, I've bit off more than I could chew with this conversation, but yeah, spent a lot of time watching fighting games and playing fighting games, and it's needless to say, it's become one of my very favorite genres. So much so that I would say a couple of the games that I've put a lot of time into are among my favorite games ever. Definitely Street Fighter 4 in all of its iterations is way up there on my favorite games list. Top 5 probably. Same with Killer Instinct, which is also really high up there. It's such a good game. I do think I've made some bold statements in the past about Killer Instinct maybe being better than Street Fighter 4 to me. Ultimately, I think that I disagree with that. I think that Street Fighter 4 is still probably my favorite fighting game, and I don't know why I can say that. I love Killer Instinct though. It's really high up there too. It's a fantastic game. And also in the discussion, I think I've talked about this on the podcast too. The Street Fighter 4, Street Fighter in general, and Killer Instinct are not so different in the way that they play. Yeah, there's tons of different mechanics, and the characters, aren't really the same at all. But if you've played one, you could probably pick up the other and play it. A lot of quarter circle, half circle motions with the joystick, punch, kick, the kick, punch, 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 kick, kick, kick on the joystick, on the fight stick. It's pretty cut and dry. The way you play is the same. but there are a lot of other fighting games out there that aren't like that at all, and I have kind of just dabbled in them a little bit in the past, just very briefly um, touched on them. But with one of them recently coming out is Guilty Gear Xrd. I haven't played it yet, and I still don't own it, even though it's on sale right now. $20. Still can't pull the trigger on it uh, just yet. I don't know. We'll see. But it's the Guilty Gear series has been around for a long time, and its other series, kind of a spin-off series, Blaze Blue, which I do own one of the games, holding it right now. And there's others in this genre too, and for lack of a better name, I'll call them anime fighters because I think that's kind of the relative term that they've all been given. It's just these fighting games that are kind of anime style, centered around anime stuff. There's the Persona 4 arena games, and there are the Blaze Blue Guilty Gear games. There is Aquapazza and the Arcana Hearts games. There's a lot of different ones that all kind of fit into this kind of sub-genre of fighting games, and I think they're great, like to watch. I think they're a lot of fun to watch. They're a little bit different than your standard Street Fighter and Killer Instinct fare, but they are a lot of fun to watch. So much so that watching all the Guilty Gear Xrd stuff when it was first out, I decided, okay, I'm gonna try to get into Blaze Blue. So I put in Blaze Blue Continuum Shift Extend to try it out, and I played several rounds of the versus mode and arcade mode to try and get a feel for the game. And the buttons in this game are very different. There's not 3 punches and 3 kicks. There is a light, a medium, a heavy, and a drive button, and then that's it. And it just goes on combinations of those buttons. The only other button that's mapped that's not just a combination button is a taunt. And I don't know what it defaults to on the stick, but because I've customized it to the way that I feel would be best for me, and that is the 4 buttons on the top row: light, medium, heavy, drive, and then I've got the X button, which is the bottom left corner of the stick, mapped to grab, which is just A B at the same time. Or maybe it's ABC, actually. Maybe it's all 3. So I've just got it mapped to that. I don't use it as much. I can, though. I have the option. Because it's just as easy to hit ABC at the same time to do the grab as it is to use my thumb to hit the grab button. So, I mean, right away, it's really different, because whereas before I'm using at least 6 buttons to do things, with the option of the last 2 for triple punch, triple kick, for supers and ultras and things like that. But for this you're now using just 4, and that's it, unless you're going to taunt, which I don't. So it's right away it's difficult, because there's no punch, no kick. It's just a light attack, medium attack, heavy attack, and then a drive, which is kind of like a special move. And all of the characters, as far as I can tell, all the characters that I've tried to use are vastly different from one another. There's no Shoto style, where Ryu, Ken, and Akuma, and to some degree Dan, are all pretty much the same. They have a little bit differences here and there, but pretty much they do Hadoukens, they do Shoryukens, and they do the Tatsus and things like that. They're pretty much the same play-wise. Some have more health, some have some are a little bit quicker, blah blah blah. There are differences, but all in all, for for argument's sake, they're the same character. Same with Oni and Evil Ryu. But in this game, I haven't found two characters even where they do the same things. Like everybody is pretty vastly different, and I don't know, it's good to get a feel for the different characters. But one of the things that I didn't like as much is when I did finally start the story mode. Um, it's interesting because it funnels you to use only certain characters that go with the story. And it's big long text boxes. It's like a visual novel. It takes a long time to get through, and then you'll have one fight that lasts 30 seconds or less, and then it's another hour long of just flipping through text, reading and looking at it. So, which is, if you're if you're not interested in that at all, then you can just not play the story mode because it's pretty long-winded. But I will admit I didn't like it at first. I was bored to tears. I was falling asleep. But after a little while, I really started to get into it. I really started to like a lot of the characters, and there's just so much just it's hilarious. So much stuff. This game is so self-aware of how crazy it is. It breaks the fourth wall. It makes jokes on itself. There's just funny stuff all over the place, and the characters are just all of them are just laughable. Um, and it's fun. I mean, I've never really played a lot of visual novel type stuff, but I enjoy this. And the main character Ragna the Blood Edge. He's kind of the one that, at least for the first game, Calamity Trigger, which is actually the Calamity Trigger reconstruction is on this disc, the Continuum Shift Extend disc. So you can play the story mode for the first game on the complete version of the second game. Um, you pretty much just use Ragna in that game. A couple matches maybe with Noel, and then maybe there might have been one towards the beginning with Jin also, but I think that was it. I think it was pretty much just those three characters through the Calamity Trigger story mode, and then the Continuum Shift story mode, it changes it up a little bit. Once you get through the initial intro segment with Ragna, you have to play through it. You have a choice of which path you want to take for different characters. So I haven't made it very far into the Continuum Shift part yet, because other games have had my attention, but I don't know. For an anime fighter, I think this was a really good starting place, especially because this game is really, really cheap. Admittedly, though, it's pretty addicting, and I do want to get the latest game, Chrono Phantasma, but it's still like $30. So I will wait on that. But for a first anime fighter, I really do enjoy it. But I don't know if this is my favorite type of fighting game, because it is kind of different, and combos and things are a little bit harder to kind of figure out what I'm doing, I guess I should say. I really feel in this case I am mashing buttons, and that's not necessarily a bad thing as far as fun goes. It's okay to just mash it out sometimes if you're just having fun. But yeah, it's good, very good. But just keep in mind, if you're not familiar with anime fighters, it's really a different thing than other fighting games. I don't know if I'm making any sense. I apologize. I just wanted to talk. Another couple of games that I'm playing. I feel like I talked about this a little bit more on the podcast. It's Persona Q, Shadow of the Labyrinth. This game is I was kind of excited for this game, but admittedly I haven't played very much Persona. I've played a little bit of Persona 3, like 5 or 6 hours of Persona 3, and I like it. I like it a lot. I put it down for one reason or another. I know that's the age-old excuse, but hey, it's all I got. So the only excuse I have, I put it down in favor of something else. And I like Persona games, but I'm not real big on story of all of it, I guess. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I'm following along the best I can, but it's not bad. I mean, I understand it well enough to know that it's, I can see why people like it so well. Uh, but at the same time, it's just like, I don't want to say I'm bored with it, but I'm kind of bored with it. Same goes for Persona Q, especially in the beginning of this game. If you're not familiar, which I don't know how you could not be familiar. If you're watching my channel, you probably know what this game is. It's a cross between Etrian Odyssey and the Persona games, um, which is, to some people, a wet dream. But to me, it's just like, I really want it to be an Etrian Odyssey game. I really, really just want it to be an Etrian Odyssey game. And it is, as far as the combat and the map making and the dungeons and stuff go. It is exactly like that, and it is scratching that itch somewhat. But at the same time, the story bits in this conversation is just goes on and on and on and on. And in the beginning of this game, I didn't think I was going to be able to play the game because it was just like dragging me down. I was just not thrilled for the first hour or so of playing this game. But then I picked up, got into the Labyrinth, and started doing the things that I know how to do, going through the motions, playing an Etrian Odyssey game, and I really got into it. And the story bits got a little bit better, and I'm to a point now. I haven't played it for a couple of weeks. It feels like, actually. Sorry. So some of these thoughts are a little bit stale, but I'm to a point now where I feel like the story is picking up, and I am getting invested into it. Um, I'm confident that we'll see it through. One thing I could say though that's a big difference too is like your characters. I know in Untold, Etrian Odyssey Untold, it's a set group of characters, but it's very, in my opinion, very dynamic and a perfect kind of set, and probably pretty similar to a party that I would have chosen for the game. And in all other Etrian Odyssey games, you're allowed to choose the character classes in which you want to choose, or jobs that you want your character to have. And in doing so, you also run the risk of, you know, not having a character class that you need, and having to go back, and fix it, and and grind up, a job to a point where you can actually use the character. So it's good to kind of be mindful of your characters, and hopefully you have a well-rounded team. And in Persona Q, all the characters are existing characters, with the exception of the one character, which is actually two, but they occupy one space in your roster. Uh, and they're the characters that are new to this game. I don't know much about them. I can't think of their names right now, but they are kind of the pivot point of the story. I don't know. They don't know who they are. You don't know who they are, but they're there. Blah blah blah. Whatever. But the rest of the characters in the game are all the cast from Persona 3 and Persona 4. And you're given the option at the very beginning of the game if you want to play the Persona 3 storyline or the Persona 4 storyline. And I don't know how different the storylines are, uh, but I chose the Persona 3 cast to start with, and that's your main character from Persona 3 and all of the other people from Persona 3. And you can build your party. You can choose the characters from Persona 3 that you want to use. And I can't remember exactly where it is. I think it's at the end of the first Labyrinth. The cast, you meet up with the cast of Persona 4, and then at that point, or the opposite game. If you pick Persona 4 to start with, it'll be Persona 3. But yeah, you get it. And then at that point, you're allowed to choose characters to fit from either game into your party. So you could build a party completely comprised of Persona 4 characters at that point if you wanted to. Um, yeah, it's interesting. It's a bunch of preset characters at the same time. So and obviously, I mean, conversations. I think the conversations are pretty well the same, because even if the characters aren't in your party that you fight with, they're still with you. They're still walking around the labyrinth with you. So like when the little breaks and the cutscenes happen, conversations with characters that you're not actually using, still happen. So I don't know exactly how all of it works. I feel comfortable with the party I have right now. Um, I'm so bad with Japanese names and all the names in the game, so I'm not going to try to tell you who's my party, other than to say I have the main character from Persona 3, the main character from Persona 4, and the redhead older student from Persona 3 because I liked her. Then the other main girl from Persona 3, the one that you meet really close to the beginning, she's in there, and then I think it's the two people that I said earlier, the main people in the game. I can't remember their names. I do apologize for that. Uh, but it's them, and they have a nice ranged attack, so that's kind of like a sniper kind of attack, and that's what I liked. So then the other girl is my healer mage type, and then the everybody kind of has like some elemental stuff because obviously they use personas, so everybody has kind of the option to have some elemental type attacks, and then the two in the front also have kind of like your buff type attacks, or buff type of moves, and then your main character, he's pretty much my powerhouse. But anyway, I've gone on too long about Persona Q because as much as I enjoy the Etrian Odyssey style gameplay and combat and map making and stuff, I don't understand the game. I don't know where it's going, and that's fine. I'll experience it, and it's hard for me to explain because I'm so unfamiliar with Persona and Shin Megami Tensei at large. I'm lost with most of it. I played quite a bit of Soul Hackers and actually really got into it. I don't know why I put that back down, because I did really enjoy. I was starting to really kind of get into Soul Hackers, um, but yeah, put it down. Don't know why. I'll pick that back up sometime. And then the last game that I'm going to talk about in this video, because I've already gone on for 28 minutes, is Ni no Kuni: Wrath of the White Witch. Now, I talked about it on the podcast, and I've talked about it on the channel in the past. Just real quick refresher: I started this game when the year it came out, 2013, a couple years ago now, and I didn't love it. I played quite a bit, or what I perceived to be quite a bit of the game, um, and I didn't hate it visually and audibly. The music was just fantastic. The gameplay was okay, and it looks great. It's a level 5 game, cell shaded, beautiful. But I just didn't love it. I just wasn't in love with the game. I don't know why. So I put it down, and then another now infamous PS3 crash where I lost all my saves happened, and this is one of those games that I was just absolutely dreading restarting. It's like I do not want to play those 17 hours of that game over again. I might have finished the game, but I did not want to replay the stuff that I was more or less bored with. But I don't know. It was last week. Just kind of heard, saw some people talking about it and saw some pictures of it on Instagram and stuff, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna start that game. I'm gonna play that game, and I could not have made a better decision. This game is amazing. Started it last Friday, a week ago, a little more than a week ago, and that weekend, the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I played and almost got back to where I was when my PS3 crashed. um, but in less time, like 5 hours less time. But I was almost there. And then I didn't get to play very much during the week. I was just busy with other things and didn't actually get a chance to play it during the week. But I played a bit yesterday and today. I played a lot today. And I'm about 20 hours now, a little more than 20 hours, and I'm past where I was the first time. And this game is just absolutely stunning. It is so good. I love the combat. I love the collectability of collecting the different familiars and raising them up and evolving them. And having different ones in my party. And I like the use of magic. Um, I do because it's a nice mixture of using magic in your main character Oliver using magic uh, in battle, but also there's a handful of spells um, that do things outside of battle that you can use. Like rejuvenating a bridge so you can get across it, or materializing a bridge out of nowhere to get from A to B, or lighting a candle or something like that. There's a bunch of spells that do things outside of battle, which is pretty cool. And it's not like a stop, press start, open the menu, scroll through the spells, find the one you need, blah blah blah. It's a lot quicker than that. There's a key map to like the spells that you can use outside of battle. Press square, pulls up the menu of spells, click it, boom, done. I mean, it's just really quick moving. And all of the monsters that you would fight, you could see in the overworld, very similar to a like a Dragon Quest IX. That's the best possible uh, comparison I can make to Ni no Kuni, because they're both level 5. Obviously, Dragon Quest is Square Enix, but it's also level 5. Uh, Dragon Quest IX is also level 5, and a lot, a lot of similarities. The overworld kind of areas and the combat too. It really feels a lot similar. It's not turn based quite like um, Dragon Quest. It's more of a, I don't know what you call it. It feels like an action RPG kind of, but everything's got like a cooldown. Your attacks have a cooldown and your spells have a cooldown, things like that. I can't accurately describe it. It's kind of like the combat in Chrono Trigger, if you're familiar with that. I don't know. It's weird to describe unless you just see it or play it, but it's really good. I like it a lot. I didn't think I was going to coming back to it because I didn't love it the first time because it felt stressful. It felt like I was making the wrong decisions. But once you get the hang of it, it really works. Now the problem is getting your AI to make the right decisions because they don't. They're stupid. They will waste their MP like nobody's business and just be out of it in just a couple of battles, and they just make really silly decisions. There is a way you can change their tactics so they don't use MP or things like that. Once again, similar to Dragon Quest, which is a good thing because, like I said, they're kind of dumb. But luckily, one cool thing about it is you can actually switch um, through the characters in your party and use and fight as them. Um, so if a specific character has an ability or a familiar that you want to use in this specific battle, you can choose to use them instead of Oliver, who's the main character. So it's got the combat has got just so many really cool things going on, and I'm very much invested in the story, and I wasn't the first time, and I think that's maybe um, where I fell off of it. I don't know. I'm very invested in it now, and it is just be fast becoming one of my favorite RPGs. And I know I say that, I feel like I say that about every game that I play, fast becoming one of my favorites. But man, I've played so many great games, and they just feel like, they just get better and better. I don't know why. Maybe I'm just more receptive to things. I don't know. Uh, Kuni is a masterpiece. I know there was other things I wanted to talk about with it, but I can't think of them right now. Um, One of the things I don't like about the game is that the collectability of the familiars is, while great, I do like that you can tame the familiars and get them and have them and use them in battle and things like that, similar to a Pokemon style game. However, in order to catch them, you have to fight them in battle, and then after you've killed them, if they like you, they'll have like hearts above their head. That is your opportunity to switch over to Esther, the main girl, and tame them to catch them. Tame them, and they join your party then. But whether or not the hearts appear above their head, whether they like you, completely luck. There is no skill or nothing that you can do, at least in the beginning of the game, nothing that you can do to make them like you, make them impressed with you so that you have the opportunity to catch them. That is just infuriating because there is a ton of side quests to do in the game, and some of them require you to catch familiars, which is cool. I mean, I like that. I like that that's one of the kind of errands, because that actually makes sense. It forces you to kind of go and explore the overworld and find the different types of familiars. However, sometimes when you find the familiars, you find the area where they kind of spawn or where they are, and you fight them, they just die, in the battle. You just kill them. And you're like, okay, so then you have to just walk around until you find another one, and then hope that in this battle it will like you. I've read some things that maybe later on in the game, it kind of, there's a way, like maybe a spell or something that will increase the likelihood that they will allow you to tame them. But I don't know. I know it's such a petty thing, but in a game that you know, gives you the ability to catch and tame, or tame and collect creatures, it certainly is slightly difficult to do so. For completeness, I guess. I don't know. It seems petty when I say it out loud, but man, it's infuriating. I spent like at least 2 hours, maybe more, just this evening, trying to catch one specific type, and I encountered it several times, but never had the opportunity to catch it. It was kind of a dual purpose thing. I was also grinding to go back and beat a boss that was giving me trouble. Apologies for the awkward jump cut. The phone is out of memory, so it's going to cut out again if I don't shut up. Thanks for watching this video. Stick around for more stuff on the channel, hopefully coming up, game discussions, blah, blah, blah. In the meantime, check out the podcast. Yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. Doom Waves out.